Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of day you are actually watching Real Love with Tanya E. Randall and Jerry Randall, who's going to be here any second. I am definitely very, very excited to be here with you guys on tonight. He's excited. And I'm going to tell you something. We always start out, with a story, with something, amazing, something exciting, or something funny. And I'm excited because my husband literally 5:30 this morning left out, went to work, and was working literally all day. He literally just walked in the door 10 minutes ago, and he came running downstairs with a smile on his face. And he said, "Baby, give me 10 minutes. Let me just shower and get myself together." And that put the biggest smile on my face because if y'all recall, a few episodes ago, he had gotten off work and he thought I was being selfish. But now he sees that there is so much value in what we're doing and just sharing with couples, sharing with individuals, and even off the set, of the episodes, we get the opportunity to share. Jones, how are you? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Hey, my beautiful niece, Michelle. So we're excited. We are literally, getting the chance to be able to show. Listen, I love bringing the energy. I love it because it just reflects and it's contagious. It is contagious. And you don't even realize when he walked through that door in my office and said, "Give me 10 minutes and I'll be right back down." That shot a burst of energy going through because I was already ready and prepared. I said, if I got to do it today by myself, I said, but one of the things that we said and we made a commitment, we are not going to quit. Yep, I got my green screen going up. Hey, Margaret. Hey, now my daughter is talking about me right now because I'm doing all my green screen things right now. So our speaking into existence balcony and family room is coming into existence. So I figured we'd sit here tonight. Because tonight, I'm excited about the episode. I don't want to jump in to talk about the episode until he literally gets down here. But I will say this. I am very excited at tonight's topic, providing for one another. And you may have someone in your life or you may not have someone, but we're going to give values and little nuggets that you can actually utilize on both capacities. It may not be, for somebody right now, if you're not serious about dating someone that you're with, or you're just getting to know that individual and you don't want to just dive right in and start, in the providing mode. But this is a broad spread topic that we're going to talk about on today. And I believe, hey, Thomas, how are you? He's on his way down. He just got in from work. He's up there in the shower and he's coming down so that we can make this happen today because we're excited. We've been able to jump into so many. Hey, Auntie Charlotte. We've been able to jump in and share with so many couples, off the screen and off the set. And it has been an amazing blessing. And can I give you guys a quick nugget or a snapshot? Well, please ask us, Thomas. We definitely want to answer. And if you feel compelled, ask the question and we will answer it. People, especially couples, a lot of times couples suffer because we think we are the only ones going through what we might be going through. And, as we begin to talk with couples and we begin to share, even with singles, a lot of times people think that they are isolated and that they don't have a clue that somebody else is dealing with or going through or went through the same situations that they went through. Jerry and I, we keep our relationship very transparent. Oh, he's tuned in. Okay. We got you now. My brother Mike is in the house. Hey, Darlene, how are you guys? So, we're very transparent with the things that we've gone through in our marriage, in our life. As you know, a lot of you know Jerry's background and, history from where he's come from. My background and history. Hey, KJ Rawls. Hi, Halen. And, we went through a lot of things. I went through a lot of things. I think I suffered more emotional and mental abuse than anything, when I look at my background and my history of relationships and things that I dealt with, because I always wanted to, as what we're looking at the topic today, provide for, the person that I was with. And, sometimes we have to get the balance scale to understand the give and take in it. And I'm not getting ahead of myself, and I don't want to jump in on the conversation until my baby cakes gets here. But, some of the things that we have to realize is, what happens if the person is not willing to try, to provide, and I'm not talking about just financial, and providing. We're talking about a whole scope of it. So y'all see I'm smiling because y'all know who just walked in the room. My king just came. I haven't seen my baby all day.
What's up, y'all?
I haven't seen my baby all day. Woohoo! He said, I can raise my hand, no Tennessee's history. That's right. And that he is an amazing man. He definitely is. And I am so blessed to have this man in my life. So we're going to open up in prayer. We're going to get it started now. Now. My baby cakes is here.
Yeah. Man.
It was one of the days. Yeah. I know. I made you a nice dinner so that way you can just. I know. We got you. Father, thank you for every listener, every viewer. Thank you, Father, for all of the couples. Thank you for all of the singles. Thank you for all of those that, maybe have gone through divorce or, are widowed, whatever the situation is. Father, let the words tonight meet the need. And we're so blessed for it. Thank you for blessing my husband and giving him the strength to even be able to do this episode on today. This is episode 8. This is new beginnings right here. And we're excited for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Woo-hoo! So what we were talking about is providing for one another. Mm-hmm. And, in the midst of all of that, it's important to have that balance in the relationship when you're talking about, that's awesome. So fly. But it is definitely a beautiful thing when you realize and understand that the person you're with is that greatest investment. Mm-hmm. The person you choose should be your greatest investment. Even on today, and I give that example as I talked about it earlier, I knew when he got up this morning at 5 o'clock, I got up at 5:30. Mm-hmm. He was making his way out the house. I was making my way out the house to go and run some errands. But maybe about 12:30, 1 o'clock, he called me, and I heard that he was still, in the midst of movement. He was still working and hustling out there. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I said, I know it's going to be a long day for him. I said, let me, get something together, cook him a nice hot meal so that by the time he gets home, he'll have a nice hot meal whenever he gets the chance, to relax and wind down so that he can eat. But when we're talking about the person you choose should be your greatest investment, the return on your investment is never in vain. Mm-hmm. See, a lot of times people in relationships, I'll only do something for you if I know you're going to do something for me. Mm-hmm. And that a lot of times create an off balance in relationships because you're expecting something. See, I'm not expecting anything just because I made him dinner. When you realize that both parties have to be able to have an investment bank account where you turn around and you're constantly depositing, and it's almost like you're not even keeping track of what you deposit in, but you just keep depositing. And it's the same thing on both sides, because when you do learn to make that happen, guess what? The return becomes, it's almost like it's not expected, but it happens. And see, when you look at the fact, the things that you can turn around and provide in a relationship, when you're knowing that that person that you're with should be the greatest investment, mm-hmm. Here's the thing. What can you provide to the one that you're with? And see, I told you we're not talking about the financial perspective, mm-hmm. because that's something that, when you look at it, we talked about and touched on one of the episodes, and we may touch on it and talk about it again today, but it's not about, okay, who has the most money and who doesn't, or, what I contribute and, what you don't contribute, because that turns around and a lot of times it brings more disagreements into a relationship. But what we're talking about is bringing an investment, number one, of quality time. See, it's amazing when you look at relationships and people don't even know how to value quality time. Mm-hmm. Your quality time might be, well, I'm going in the room off to myself because this is my quality time. And granted, there's going to be times for those. But when you look at what we just said, a relationship is an investment. You have to find time to put in on that return. So quality time is nothing that has to be so overloaded or something super planned. It could be something as simple as like today when I was driving down over by my mother's house and I was over by East Rock Park. I saw this couple just walking through the park and they were picking up leaves, throwing leaves back and forth at each other. I'm like, they look awfully old to be throwing leaves back and forth at each other. But I saw the smiles on their face. See, we sometimes get caught up so much in the rat race of life that we forget that the basic things that can still make one another happy. And it doesn't take a lot to turn around and invest quality time, because quality time is whatever you decide to make it. But the thing is, make it. Don't void it out. Don't, leave it. I love the fact, we have our TV time. Whenever we turn around and we get to the point where we just want to sit down and maybe just watch a show together. He likes, surfing YouTube just to watch documentaries and stories and different things of that sort of sports. I'll jump on the bandwagon and make that quality time. If I'm in the kitchen and, I'm doing something in the kitchen, he may come in, I don't care if it's 15, 20 minutes, come and have a conversation, discussion, pull up a chair, and quality time. See, when you're talking about providing for one another, you're literally meeting the need of what that individual desires. And the only way you find out what a person desires is when you spend what?
Quality time.
Quality time.
Quality time.
And it helps. It really helps. Sunday football, Mike Meck, I got to put that on the screen. That's definitely our quality time. We make sure that we are sitting in that living room together and we have a regimen that if our team starts to act a little crazy, he goes in the bedroom, I stay in the living room. But whenever something happens, we come and meet each other in the hallway, give a hug, a high five, a kiss, something. And if things are detrimental, we go in and start changing clothes and putting on another jersey.
Changing, but you know something? It's awesome because quality time is important. But when we talk about providing for one another, I like looking at support. You know what I mean? And the different ways we can support. That the person that we're with. And too many times, I remember a conversation I had with an individual one time, and it was like, man, this woman has a great job, her own home, and everything going on for herself. And I was like, but there's still something that you can offer her.
Absolutely.
There's still something that you can provide to her. You know what I'm saying? And I said, just outside of the companionship, you know what I mean? So many times, it could be emotional support. A mental support, you know what I mean? Physical support. It's so many different things and so many different ways we can find to support and provide for the ones that we love that we take for granted. Because just because someone may seem like they have it all together doesn't mean that you can't offer that individual something. You got to find the need in the individual and then provide that need for that person. And too many times we think because, a person has it going on in the financial manner that, they may not need you, spiritually.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can offer spiritual support, provide that thing that they may be lacking, whether you can teach it to them or whether they can just learn it from you. But there's always something that you could provide for the person that you love.
And I like that because that means that you really have to spend time to find out what that person needs. So even if you come into a relationship and somebody has it all and you think like what Jerry just said, you don't have nothing else to offer. But you do. Yeah. There's always something that you can find to invest in, and sometimes people that have everything may just need companionship. Listen, I don't need, all of the money, the jewels and the cars and all that other stuff. I just need you to talk to me. I need you, and it's funny that Chris just said that I put it on the screen, but we talked about, excuse me, the languages of love. And understanding that those things are also just as important. They're just as important as words. See, when you understand communication, and we're going to bring this up probably at every episode.
Communication.
It's the foundation. A lot of times people that have been married for years or people that are just dating, you find that conversation is so vain and it's so minute. Well, it's not important. But yes, it is. It's important at 40 years married. It's important at 20 years married. It's important at 10 years married. It's important at 3 years together. It's important at just meeting one another. Communication is key because the only way you get to find out what you can provide for that individual is to see where there may be lacks or there may be voids. And the only way you find lacks and voids is when you talk. Communication is powerful. And then we have the languages of love. When, I love it. I get excited. I love touching him. I just love it. But I know at the end of the day, that's something that I learned. I learned that he loves to wind down with just, maybe me just rubbing his head or, touching his ear or scratching his beard. See how he starts smiling? That's a language. That's a language. That's communication.
That's a beautiful language.
I got some more for that later. But it's good because when you understand that and you found out what that individual needs, now you can begin to, almost edify that, and you can build upon that. Sometimes people just like, you to talk to them, because I know there's certain phases in time. Sometimes the Jerry will say, you know what? Well, just talk to me. Just talk. I don't care what you talk about. Talk about anything, but just talk. Let me just hear you talk. So you have to find out what that individual needs, so that way you can make sure that you are that type of provider for that individual. A lot of times we found out in relationships that people may be wasting time in relationships because they don't know the person that they're with. So all of a sudden, as years go by, you're saying, well, I don't know this individual, or I don't want to be with this individual any longer. I don't feel that we what's the word, that we're compatible or that we match, and I don't think that he loves me, or I don't think that she appreciates me. See, words like that come out when you fail to understand, did I actually communicate? And I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but hey, Sonia, but the amazing thing is, affirmations is also part of communication. Listen, if you want something from an individual, you got to speak what you want from out of the individual. And he went back and shared a lot of times his Wendy's story. I love that story every time I hear it, because it does something for me. And you see him put the smile on his face. But I got excited because just a few words of affirmation telling him how good he looked in a Wendy's uniform turned around and created a level of communication that every time he came from off work from that Wendy's job, he talked about how amazing his day was there at the job. See, death and life is in the power of the tongue.
Yes. It's positive energy. Also.
Yes, there you go.
What you measure out, you want in return. So when you get positive energy, you usually could give it right back to the individual. Right. But even like you got down here, in some of the notes, even like holding hands, man. Yep. Holding hands is like providing something to that individual. Especially when a man holds a woman's hands, And it's like it's very powerful. It's like saying, you're mine, and you belong to me, and I'm representing you, and you representing me, and we're together. And a lot of times, people forgot about that old art, man. That chivalry, those little things that matter in a relationship. Yeah. So we try to do all of that stuff, man. It's like a constant reminder of who we are. You know what I mean? And I love doing it because, like, who wouldn't want to represent her? Like who? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
representing him. I got his roofing company t-shirt on today. I'm representing my baby.
It's dope. You know what I mean? So we still hold hands. We still do all of that stuff, man. Like, I still open the door for her. You know what I mean? It's like providing a service.
Ladies, here's the key to that. You know what I mean? Wait at the door. Yeah, you have to start doing it. You gotta listen.
Just simple things. It's communication. Yeah, simple things like that you could do that can make the person that you with feel, appreciated, loved. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you do that, it's like reciprocated back to you in so many different ways. You know what I mean? We want the world, but we don't want to give it. You know what I mean? So too many times, like in relationships, you want your partner to do everything. You know what I'm saying, for you, but you're not willing to go and do everything for your partner. It's like a two-way street when it comes to that, man. Yeah. So. It's dope, man. Holding hands is dope, man. It's a sign of closeness. It's a sign of togetherness.
Yeah, and hugging. People forgot like the simple
things.
Hold
up, Snowfly. They are like, look how dirty. I couldn't even. I got Snow. I just got off work, Snow, and I scrubbed them and they wouldn't even come clean, Snow. Like real talk, my hands are rough, and I scrubbed them, so I gotta work on them some more. I just didn't want to delay the show because I literally just got in the house like 20 minutes ago. So yeah, they rough. I just had enough time to shower and try to scrub most of them off, man. But they definitely rough, yo.
They're rough.
Yeah, I ain't got stuff, but yeah.
Lotion, shea butter, none of that much, but they're my hands. Yeah. But it does so much. It really does, and it creates. Nobody laughing. It creates such a power you know, when you realize and understand that there's so many different languages that you can communicate in a relationship. We shut down sometimes, you know, in relationships. And when you're talking about providing for one another, you won't know what a person needs unless you open your mouth. You have to talk, you have to share, you have to be able to drop input and insight. And when you begin to do that, the person will catch on. But here's the thing, sometimes at men, they might be a little slower in catching on. And you have to say it kind of over and over again, but not in a nagging way, not in a way of disrespect, but in a way that you know that once they get it, they'll get it. You know, and sometimes we have to help them get it.
Yeah, like it's funny. And it's funny because 2 weeks in a row, like,
hey, Rodney,
2 weeks in a row, Tanya said, man, I need some new sweaters and some new boots. So I heard it, you know what I mean? And then she said it again. She was like, I need some sweaters and some boots. So I need some winter boots. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, she said it twice. So I was like, in my mind, I'm not going to hear her make that same comment a third time. You know what I mean? So I made sure I provided the need. You know what I mean? And that's what you do. Like sometimes, because if she had to say it again, it would have been like shame on me. You know what I mean? The first time I'm like, okay, like I'm not really focused on what she was saying. I probably was flicking the remote or something, keeping it 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, but then when she said it again, it registered that she had said this before. So then, you know, I made sure I provided the need for her, you know what I mean? And took care of what she needed me to take care of. But that's what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like if you know there's a need, you know what I mean? And needs change constantly.
Yes. I had to put up there what Juan just said, because it is fly when you realize that you can walk down the street holding the person's hand that you want to, you know, take that time with.
Absolutely.
It is such an amazing thing. And Lady Sunshine just said it. You bring such an affirmation to that individual, and you make them feel like special. Like when you start swinging arms and hands, you know, like, okay, they feeling one another, and everybody else feels it. You know, we in the beginning when we married and we started going places, and we would just sit there and start hugging one another, or we would sit there and hold one another's hands. And then when we started going places, we started seeing and noticing that the same couples that, you know, were in our arena was doing the same thing. And it was like, wow, that became a communication without saying anything, because people can see what the result is, the smile on the face, you know, the look in the eyes, you know, all of that stuff brings such a tremendous, you know, feeling towards providing for one another.
And it's funny because love can become contagious.
Yes, it can.
Like when you see love, you know what I mean? Sometimes it can remind you like, oh my goodness, I really do love this person. When you see somebody else that may be doing something, you be like, man, that's kind of dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, because sometimes we can get away from those things that we used to do. And it's like a shame that we do it. Like we forget, you know, when we were chasing that, you forget when I was chasing, I'm gonna forget what I did to pursue you.
Yeah.
And then when I get you, I'm gonna stop doing that thing. To me, it's like, whoa, like, you know, everything I did to get her, I need to do to keep her.
Absolutely.
You know, and my dad always says it, man. He always say, yo, it's easy to get something, but to maintain it, the maintenance takes work.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's the truth.
Right.
Like, it's easy to get something.
Yep.
But the maintenance, that thing you get takes work. You know what I mean? Like everybody could go out and get a Mercedes-Benz if they want it. But when it comes to buying those parts, that's a whole different thing. And the work one, that's a whole different, and it is. Because you could get it, but can you maintenance it? And it's the same thing applies to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, your wife, like, you know, you could get her, but can you maintenance her? You know what I mean? And you should be able to maintenance, you know what I'm saying, those things that you get if you put forth the effort.
And
that's part of providing.
Exactly. And don't think that you have to go into overload trying to figure the person out. Because a lot of times we go and we make things worse when we try to go into overload. Take it one day at a time. Understand that, and we say it all the time, Rome wasn't built in a day. Who you are wasn't built in a day. You're constantly evolving and growing as an individual. So every time you discover something different about yourself, just think of how the person that you're with also has to feel and take that time to make and create that level of investment. But
Yeah.
don't get so overloaded and then to the point that you just give up, because it's easy to be able to do that. You know, you figure, you know what, this person is too much, or they're so extra, or why is she so dramatic all the time, or why is he the one, you know, that never feels like, you know, he understands me. Listen, every phase of a relationship grows, but the common denominator is the communication. Because if you're not talking about it, like if I notice and see that he's doing something and it's on a consistent repetition, I know that that's a part of his growth that is taking place in him or in his life. And remember what we said. You're not 50% of an individual. You are 100%, 100%. So when that 100 and 100 comes together, you make up one being.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, you have to realize, okay, he just grew in a different area, or he changed in a different area. Let's get back to the drawing board. Let's talk about it. Any building that's up and already in perfect set, when an architect comes back, they have to go back now, pull out the original drawings, and then create the addition on what's going to be added on to. I always think of St. Raphael's, aka now Yale, but when they built that bridge over Orchard Street to connect the garage to the hospital, that wasn't there. It was an existing building, an existing parking garage, but they had to come back to the blueprint and say, how are we going to connect this so that it still connects and stays viable, so that we know that it's a part of the thing. It's the same thing with your relationship. If things are changing, how do we get it back and create that pattern to make it still connect? And a lot of times people grow older in their marriages and their relationships, and they lose the connection. And that's what you just said, you know, earlier. So we have to realize that connection is so busy. That I love that. I love that. You just finished reading that. I like that. And you have to put those reminders in, because it means something. And for the person that's thinking that it might be corny to do, you have to realize the person on the other end that is the receptor might be feeling every sensation in the world, because you thought enough to do something as simple as a form of a love language, art. You study that individual to know that I can just do maybe just a little bit more. Don't ever think that you're the one getting played when, and let me say this, because there are those that are in relationships that you're not serious or committed in that relationship. So these type of things may not reference you. But when you're talking about you found someone that you really want to lock in with, and you know that they're worth the investment, then you start to do that. See, if you just what they call it speed dating, you don't want to invest and provide in everybody. But when you're looking at something that you're ready to create a commitment, or you've been in a commitment, or you've established your marriage and you're still building, listen, build on the positive, because those are the things that turn around and count. And one of the other things that we talked about is how relationships take time. Don't expect because you see somebody else's relationship flourishing that yours should be on that same plateau and you should be flourishing, because what you do is you create unnecessary pressure with the one that you're with. They may not be there yet, but what you can do is learn how to find that love language to introduce them to the place that you desire for them to be. And it doesn't come, well, you don't do this, and I wish you would do this. No, if they haven't been exposed to that, because remember, Jerry has a past and a background. I have a past and I have a background. My family, I may not have been introduced to holding hands. I may not know, excuse me, what it's like.
That's a great example.
Yeah, go ahead, piggyback off of that.
It is, because a lot of times you could see, certain individuals, doing something in their relationship. And if that person that you're with, didn't come from a close-knit family,
right,
or wasn't used to family time or interacting like that, that's the part of building and communicating your way through and navigating your way through that.
Right.
And what's so awesome is, I remember Music Social had a song called New or Newness. And what's so awesome about that song, because when love is new, it's beautiful, right?
Yes.
But when love is old, how do you still keep it beautiful? By still doing the things that you did when it was new. But the building part of the relationship is beautiful, because as you're building and you're learning one another, and when I say learning one another, I'm talking about like the nooks and crannies of the person. Like you know, it's easy to learn the simple things, but the nooks and the crannies, the things that you got to take your time, you know what I'm saying, to get into, you know what I mean, with that person. That's what turns around and builds that foundation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like multiple levels up. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to ranch. Give me a raise.
Raise.
Give me a raise, because let's build up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it takes time. Like Tanya was talking about, it really takes time to turn around, to get to know the person that you're with. And it's an investment. It really is. If you don't take the time to maneuver around, you know what I mean? Because sometimes, like I've been hurt in my life. You know what I mean? I've been hurt in a relationship. So there were certain times where you want to feel like, I might not want to expose this. And just because I might not want to expose it at this moment, don't mean I'm not going to never talk about it.
Right.
And it also doesn't mean that the person should give up on, you know what I'm saying, trying to figure you out, or trying to, you know, to get you to open up about that thing. You know what I mean? So, you'll find a lot of couples that might be like standoffish in the beginning of the relationship. You know what I mean? So if that's happening, you know what I mean? Don't try to, what she said, Rome wasn't built in a day. Don't try to, you know what I'm saying, bulldoze your way through the situation. You know, take your time and, slow walk them through the process. You know, healing takes time too in a relationship, yo.
Yeah, it does. And I'm glad that Jerry said that and just ended off on that note that healing takes, place, because you have to be willing to participate in each other's world and learn one another. You can't expect the relationship to be one-sided. See, I can't go 100 in to invest and participate in wanting to learn him, and you don't want to know nothing about me. Listen, because we've seen it, we've heard it. It's like, I don't care what they do. It's like, I don't want to know nothing about you. And see, again, that basis, if you turn around and create that platform, that you've got to learn to communicate. And you can't throw darts when you're trying to learn one another, because when you're throwing darts, you're not providing a healthy platform and environment. And Lady Sunshine mentioned it and said it in her comment. You've got to respect one another, and in respecting one another, you'll learn more about each other. You can't come up and, with your conception of how you feel, that individual, but yet you don't take the time to sit down and really know the individual. So you can't throw up, in my face and because I know it's past, oh yeah, well, you're a dog, you're a womanizer, you're all these things, but I haven't sat down to find out that was then. Who is the individual that you're with right now? See, that's providing for one another, because I'm giving you information that's going to be key to the growth of our development. You know what I mean? So you got to count the cost, and make decisions when it comes down, to relationships, such as what we're talking about on today. And, here's the thing. And I love this, because a lot of times we really don't sit back and analyze, and see where an individual, where your relationship is going. We just keep going and going and going. And then when it doesn't end up right, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm done. I tried. But listen, you can't. And here's the next thing. Don't be embarrassed to try it again. Because you may have started out. And I'm talking to people that's been married a season and years of marriage. I'm talking about people that's in that midway point. I'm talking about people that, may have just lost it and given up. I'm talking about people that's just getting started, getting dating. Don't be embarrassed to try it again. Listen, life is life. You learn through trials and error. Like a passage in the Bible said, you learned obedience by the things that you suffered. Well, you're going to learn the one that you're with, sometimes through the things that you suffer in the relationship together. Reflect on your first approach. Jerry said it, and he said it so well. Sometimes it takes just going back to the basics and remembering what it's like to hold a hand. What it's like. Well, you know what? Did I ever initiate holding your hand just because you don't hold mine? See, sometimes we point the finger and throw the blame. Well, she ain't holding my hand, so I don't need to hold hers. But what if, you females, you reached out to grab their hand, to hold their hand? It may be a shock, a culture shock, because they've never had somebody to hold their hand, but you're doing something different. And if it did work, great. If it didn't work, maybe try it on another occasion, a different setting, a different time. See, What I love about relationships is that you turn around and you should be learning something about the person that you're with every day.
Mhm.
You should be discovering something, even something that they don't like, something that they like, something that they love, something that they don't like. You know, you're constantly trying to invest and evolve, you know, in your relationship,
Yeah.
and it only makes it better.
It's dope. It's dope too because we both work on each other's strengths.
Yes,
you know what I
we
mean?
do.
We work on each other's strengths. You know what I mean? And what your strength is in the relationship, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll let you rock and let you, you know, you can be the front runner. What my
Right.
strength is, I'm the front runner. And then sometimes, you know, it intertwines. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's dope too. Because in the relationship, when you're moving forward and you're trying to build something,
Mhm.
you can't always feel that your way is going to be the right way. You know what I mean? You sometimes you have
Exactly.
to look at it and be like, okay, what am I learning from the person that you're with? What does she have to offer in this situation? Because a lot of times, and this is speaking for me personally, I used to always feel like I was right. I used to always like had to like win, like it's beyond my competitive nature. But it was like sometimes
Yes.
I just felt that my way was the right way, and
Yep.
sometimes it was something that you got to put up there, count the cost, and make a decision.
Right.
Sometimes when that happens, you know what I mean. You know, it don't always have to be your decision. You know what I mean? It could also be the person that you with decision. You know, so a lot of times we're self-sabotage, you know what I'm saying, because it didn't come from you. Or you won't support it the right way. And that's one of providing for one another.
That's
you know what I mean, you won't support it because it wasn't your idea, or you know you didn't think of it and you didn't put forth the majority of whatever it may have taken to make the thing work. And too many times, you know, that could be a hindrance in your relationship. You know what I mean? It's when we're providing for one another, we're taking all the measures, we're taking everything, and we're putting it together like a gumbo. You know what I mean? And we're gonna extract all the goodness out of it.
That sounds good.
It's amazing that you find, you know, people in relationships that don't want to count the cost, that don't want to make a decision, that's scared to make a decision because they're scared of failure, which you have put something up there before.
Yeah.
And you know, you can't be scared to fail. Like I think about my life so many times, right? And when I was in prison, and it was crazy. When I was in prison, I wrote like a letter to myself. And it was crazy because in the letter, you know, I counted all my failures to drugs. And I said, if I can't make it when I come home, who do I have to blame?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm saying that because, you know, sometimes you can't worry about what you did or where you've been. All you got to do is just look forward and take one step in front of another, you know what I mean? And make it happen, you know what I mean? And that way you're really providing for yourself, and then you're providing for the person that you with. But I always used to ask myself, yo, I failed in life because of this.
Wow.
What would be my excuse now? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't I still try something even if I fail when I know I can succeed? You know what I mean? So it sounds crazy, but it's the truth, yo. Too many people don't want to, they don't want to fail, so they won't even try.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when you learn about relationships and you learn about life and the person that you're building with, there's not always going to be great days.
Yeah.
There are going to be days of failure, but the important part about it is to be able to have that person to fall back on. Because a failure can only be defined as a failure if the person in front of you is constantly throwing it up in your face that you failed at it. But if you have somebody there, you know, by your side, and this is where the communication comes back in. Listen, it's okay to fail, but let's see how we can make it better, how we can build this thing together, how we can strengthen or re-strengthen one another. And
how we could provide for one another.
Exactly.
How we could provide for one another.
Because I know you've been, you know, a great provider, you know, in my life, as far as the balance of when we first got together. You know, he said, I see the smile. I know that this is the Tanya that I know, but this is not the Tanya that I remember. You know, so he provided, and I believe we had it up here earlier. He provided words of affirmation to bring Tanya back to a place where Tanya was, that he knew who the Tanya was. And it's okay to be able to get in the presence of the person that you're with and affirm them. Because think about this. coming from two different backgrounds, two different lifestyles, two different people that have, gone down two different roads. You have to realize that there are things that you may not have even extracted out of that individual as of yet, that may be a hurt for them, that may be a fear for them, that may be an isolation for them, that may be a stunt, a place for them. And as you begin, it's just like, and you used this the other day, and I thought that was so powerful when you talked about the archaeologists.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. How they take their time when they find a ruin, and they literally use a toothbrush, you know what I mean, to make sure they extract, you know what I'm saying, everything that they're digging for, and don't mess nothing up. In the relationships, that's how we need to take our time. I'm glad you brought that back up. Sometimes we really need to take our time when we're excavating things, you know what I mean? And we're trying to put something together.
Right.
So many times we rush through situations, you know what I'm saying, in life, into situations in our relationship, you know what I mean? When sometimes you just need to take your time, and when you take your time, you know what I mean?
I love that.
And you go through it with a fine tooth comb, you know what I mean? You can see the beauty that lies ahead, you know what I mean? Too many times we just rush through life, man, and rush through our relationships, and you just want to arrive.
Yeah,
you just want to arrive,
right?
The
Jay-Z Beyonce.
And it's crazy because I remember a conversation with somebody, right? And it was a compliment to me, and I appreciate the compliment, you know what I mean? And it was like, pretty much like, I would love to find someone with your characteristics and attributes now. I gotta stress now. But when Tanya said I do to me, I didn't have a pop to piss in or a window to throw it out. And that's the truth, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So even at that moment, she provided a certain need for me. You know what I mean? And we always shared with her prior to us, you know what I'm saying I do. If you don't see greatness in me,
that's the statement.
Don't marry me. Don't waste your time. You know what I mean? Because it's sad to say that sometimes we don't understand what coal really turns into. We don't see those diamonds. And that, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta provide it for one another. Sometimes you have to be that jeweler, right? That knows how to polish, you know what I'm saying, a diamond, cut the diamond, you know what I'm saying, and put the diamond on display. You know what I mean? And too many times we don't provide the needs in our relationships like that. You know what I mean? You don't want to take time, you know what I'm saying, to extract the clarity, you know what I'm saying, the quality, you know what I'm saying, out of the person that you are with. You know what I mean? You just wanna go get the diamond, right? You know what I'm saying, out of Jared's or whatever jewelry store you go to, Zayre's and whatever, and you don't want to take your time to look for it. You know what I mean? And appreciate that rough draft, or that, you know what I mean, that copy of something that you don't understand yet. And you can't see the potential because you're too caught up looking at, you know what I'm saying, other things that's on display. You're too busy looking at somebody else's diamond. Oh, let's talk about that.
That's good.
You're too busy looking at somebody else's diamond.
Get your eyes on somebody else's diamond.
Find your own diamond. You know what I'm saying? Let me stop. I don't want to get off subject. But
that's a whole nother
But what
thing.
I'm saying is it's really the truth. You know what I mean? You know, and the truth of the matter, because there's so many different cuts of a diamond. You know what I mean? There's the oval, there's the round, there's the square, there's the princess. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's so many different cuts, man. You know what I mean? Yes. You know, take the time, man. Figure out what you got and extract the best out of what you got. That's providing a need. That's providing a service. You know what I mean? Extract the best out of what you got. See, you know, me, Tanya and I, we extract the best out of each other. You know what I mean? So when and I said it the other day, I love the nature. I love the nature channel, people. I love watching, you know what I'm saying, the things that take place in Africa. And I love lions. I'm a Leo. You know what I mean? And every time a lioness has her cubs, she leaves the pride. You know what I mean? She leaves the pride to go to go have birth, you know what I'm saying, a birth for her cubs. But when she comes back to the pride, all of her sisters starts to groom her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They start to lick on her. They start to give positive affirmations and love and encouragement. You know what I mean? And that's how we ought to be. You know what I'm saying? We ought to always, you know what I'm saying, make sure we're grooming one another. That's what Tanya and I do. We're always grooming one another.
Right.
We're always, you know what I'm saying, doing those little things that show that we are a part of one another.
Right.
That's why it becomes easy sometimes for what we do, or if a person or people see us, it's real. It ain't fake. It's real. Our love is real. Our love is genuine. Our love is forever.
That was But this is the
yeah, man.
But it's funny that Jerry said that, and he mentioned that, because it's easy for us to pull the negative when we don't feel like we're getting what we want out of the person that we're with.
Mm-hmm.
And see, sometimes, and this is the danger part, you know, in not understanding how to build, you find yourself, like Jerry said, going over to another vineyard to try to see, because that person understands you. No, the person don't understand you. You just found another field to start conversation, something that you should have started in your own backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And you always, and we had it down here, you have to give it the chance first. Don't toss it and throw it and say, well, this is not it, this doesn't work. Did you exhaust the cost? Did you exhaust it? Because it is going to cost you something. Did you try to rework it? Did you try to build on the communication? Did you try to find out that love language that causes that individual to get that attention to one another? Because sometimes we don't even know how to get the attention of the person that we're with anymore. You know, we talked about my mother in one of the episodes, how every morning she wakes up. I don't care how she's feeling. She gets up. Her face is made up. She dressed. She's in the house, but she's looking in a presentable setting that would draw the attraction of our father to her.
Absolutely.
You know,
Daddy can't never say, "Mommy don't look beautiful."
No, he can't catch it like that.
Nah.
And I'm not saying you gotta walk through the house with heels and jeans on, and you gotta walk in with the 3-piece suit and stuff on. But you know what? Make it to where, you know, you cause and put a smile on that individual's face every time they see you. You know, make it where, you know, those small little gifts, we put something up there before, you know, don't forget to give meaningful gifts. I'm not talking about going out and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars. You know, a meaningful gift is that I remember it was our 5th year anniversary, and he cooked dinner for me. I never got another dinner after that. Maybe a bowl of oatmeal.
Good oatmeal.
He can make some good oatmeal, y'all. Yeah, he can. I told him.
Well, cooking.
No, he's not the cooker.
Tennessee's not a cooker. Jerry's not a cooker. None of my nicknames. None of my.
Jawan is definitely not a cooker.
No.
But it was an amazing thing. Because,
but I had to prove to her I could cook, y'all. I had to prove to her I could cook.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
I love that. I had to prove. My mother taught me well.
But that was something that, you know, he communicated to me. It was a meaningful gift because I won't ever forget it. You know, so I will never forget it. But it was something, you know, as simple as just going in the kitchen and putting some stuff together and cooking for me, for something for me to remember. See, sometimes we might forget, you know, the shopping, or we might forget, you know, all the other, you know, fancy things, but can we get back to the basic of the simple things? You know, I remember, and I have it in our picture slide, the roses that he had brought for me. These roses were so beautiful. And the card that he put next to, inside the roses, talking about I was his forever queen. I can still see those roses today. And I done seen plenty of roses, and I done had plenty of flowers, but I can remember those. Why? Because it was a meaningful gift. See, we have to take it and keep it at the basics. Sometimes when we look at TV and social media, We look at the celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
we watch all these reality shows, and it makes relationships look so either troubling, it makes the relationships look super, super sweet, or it makes the relationships look like, well, you know what, I don't have to take this. But whatever measure it is, it's not real. You got to get to the point and make what you have real. Because for that individual, that might be their real. But for you, it may not necessarily work. So you find your real in the one that you're with.
Yeah.
What's Snowfly saying? Steve was supposed to.
You got jokes. Yeah, he was.
Well, it's amazing.
I didn't even cook him.
Yeah, listen, none of that. He did none of that stuff.
No mufungals.
No
I ain't
nothing.
cooked nothing, yo.
He kept that trait right out here in this life.
Yeah.
But no, guys, in all of what we're saying and doing, we count it a joy and an excitement to be able to just talk with you and share with you on today, providing for one another, because it is so important. Everything else will fall into place when you really understand what type of return you'll get off of the investment in providing for the person that you're with. And it may be foreign in the beginning. They may not even understand what you're doing. They might think, you trying to be, you try to set them up, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, Snowfly said something that was very important.
Uh-huh.
Let me click on what he said again. He said something that was very important, especially when it comes to relationships. To get what you want, you never had. You have to do what you never did.
That's true,
and that's important.
That's true.
If the person you're with not providing for you the way you desire for them to provide for you, maybe you're not doing something that you need to do. I always share this story. When I came home, I was a pescatarian, and I wanted Tanya to become a pescatarian. Then when I went vegan, I wanted Tanya to go vegan. And in order for me to get her to take that next step, I had to take a next step. And I mean, a lot of times, we could be saying something and it might not register until you put forth the action, till you take the first step. And I think that's what we do for one another, in our relationship. She'll take a step, she, like, even today, I'm at work all day, and she just cash at me. She just cashed at me some money today. Because she didn't know if I ate anything. But she just cashed. She was making sure that I would have what I needed because I was out for so long. Not knowing if I had it or not. I didn't ask for it. She just did it. I didn't have to ask. That's providing a need. That's providing, that's knowing the person that you're with. Like I don't want him to say, well, he couldn't get this or he couldn't get that. So I'm going to make sure that he has what he needs to get it. That's why I love her so much. Like, we really have each other's back, and that's because we go above and beyond for each other. So if you're not getting what you desire from the person that you're with, go above the measures. Do a little bit more. Dig a little bit deeper. Dig a little bit deeper. It's gonna take a little bit more effort. It might take a little bit more work, but it'll be well off, because when you look at it, what we were talking about earlier, it's an investment. And you're gonna get your return. It's impossible to invest and don't get a return.
Absolutely.
It's impossible.
And I want to say this, to those that are single, that are watching and listening as well. It's important. Don't just get caught up in the looks, or the personality. Don't get caught up in what, I'm getting older and I just need somebody. Make sure that it's somebody that you can even have a decent conversation with. Because if you can't find the conversation or the communication or those attributes now in that individual, starting out, you might have to work a little harder if you choose something that, or someone that is not going to complement or fulfill the things that you're looking for. And a lot of times we get ourselves in the brick wall of relationships. And then now that we're in that moment or in that place, now you feel like you just have to go forward just because. But learn to take your time, like what we were just sharing, and make that investment. Go on a communication date. Listen, let's see how well you talk. Are you the first person to pick up your phone when we go out to eat and you on your phone because you have nothing to say or talk about? Or are you that type of individual? You have to make sure that you are in a place where what you want, you have to see what you want. You know, the word says write the vision and make it plain. The one that reads it, they run with it. If you're talking and you're going out on a date and you're the one talking, they might say, wow, this person is a talker. They're either gonna love it or they're gonna not love it. And they may not call you the next time, and it's okay because you know what you're looking for. See, right now, Jerry always says use your words as if you have to pay for them. Well, use your time as if it's the last day you're going to be able to utilize that time. Because I guarantee you this, there is somebody that's there and out there for you. But the thing is, a lot of times we dumb down our qualities, or we dumb down, you know, what it is that we know that we want. One thing that Jerry said, and he said it earlier, and we're going to bring it back up again. He asked me the question before I said I do. He said, if you don't see greatness in me, don't marry me. You have to know what you're seeing. And the only way you know what you see is through communication. I knew what I saw. See, he made a statement, but that statement was backed up by words and conversations that we had with one another over and over again. So it made sense when he made that statement for me to make an answer, or give an answer, and not give it with hesitation, because there was something that was already in the mix. So it's not over. It doesn't exhaust itself. It makes it better. Those affirmations, that communication, that companionship, all of that stuff, it goes together. It creates such a harmony. It makes a blueprint so that when y'all sit down together and unravel it, it's like, dog, wow, we talked about that. We experienced that. We're looking, and you know your weak areas. You know your strong areas. See, I think we've brought to the light all of our weak areas, and we've worked on our weak areas to be able to complement and make them strengths now. So if you know and you're with that person and you see that, you can turn around and build off of that and say, okay, listen, we know that these are weak areas right here for us. So what can we do to turn around and help one another in these weak areas? And if you can't even sit down and have a conversation with the individual about that, guess what? You know what? It's time to go. Got to back it up. Got to make that move, because it's trial and error. In anything in life, there's always that trial and error. But if you don't put the effort across to see, well, okay, you know what? This might be somebody that can be an interest, you know, to me. Make the decision, make the move, but have a plan. Without a vision, your relationship perishes. Your start out on dating, it perishes. If you're just going in just to say, you know, I'm dating, listen, that's played out, because there's plenty of people that's dating, but they may not be necessarily happy, or it might not be going nowhere. If I'm 30 years and I'm still dating you, I gotta check it out and see, because somewhere you have to find out what's happening and what you really want. So it's a beautiful thing. Not because of looks, but her story. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow.
Good job, Snow. It's funny. Also, something that Tanya and I do, like in communication, sometimes because most people live a routine life. You know what I mean? We get up, we go to work, we do the same thing pretty much every day. But every day, I'd be like, man, what you got planned for today?
He does.
I'd be like, yo, what's on your schedule for today? You know what I mean? And then that's during the beginning of the day. Then, you know what I'm saying, during the evening or at nighttime, whether it's our pillow talk or winding down, I'd be like, yo, so how was your day? Did you accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish? Did you do everything that you wanted to do? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You know what I mean? What happened that threw you off your, and then she might say, well, I got a phone call, you know, this happened, that happened. You know what I mean? It's the simple things, you know what I mean? Because sometimes we can say, yo, how was your day? And you really don't care. You just, how was your day? So, and then it stops there. But why didn't you accomplish that? You know what I mean? And it's vice versa. You know, how was your day? Like, well, it was kind of this. It was a good day. You know what I mean? It was long. I ran into some problems. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of times you can still find ways to communicate
And that's
the simplest things.
That's a good test way, even for singles, to be able to find out just how interested an individual is in you. If you ask a simple question like that and they don't give a hoot, listen.
But I'm saying, but that's what we really do. So it makes it easier, because what's it can be like what's easy for us may be difficult for somebody else, and vice versa.
That is true.
But because we do it, you know what I mean, it's our norm. Yeah. But it's not everybody's norm to pry to figure out, you know what I'm saying, why didn't your day go as planned? You know what I mean? And what stopped it, and then you could work on it with suggestions or some advice. That's what we do for one another.
Yeah.
But this was a dope episode. Yes. Sorry I was late. You know what I'm saying?
You were right on time.
Right on time. You know what I mean? It was another dope episode. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I love doing what I do. Apostle Trollinger, we love you.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Stacey.
And everybody, we love you all. You know what I'm
Sammy. Saying? He said he's still taking notes. Listen, we all taking notes. That's the wonderful thing about life. And, in saying that, as we're getting ready to let Jerry close out in prayer, it is so... It's a dope thing to know that I don't care how old we are always learning. Yeah. If you think you arrived and you don't need nothing from nobody and nobody can impart in you, you are a dangerous person walking the face of the earth. Yeah. You are always going to need to build off of somebody, and all we create sometimes right here is just a foundation for somebody to turn around and take it to the next level and do something, even bigger, something even greater, share, even more. And it's amazing to be able to do that. And we absolutely love it. We love you, Sunshine. We love you. And we thank God for your notes and input as well. So we're going to let Jerry close out. It is 8:00 and we are excited.
Heavenly Father, in the precious name of your son, Jesus.
Yes, God.
Lord God, we thank you for being the ultimate provider in our life.
Yes.
We thank you, Father God, for those things that we take for granted on a daily basis, Father God. We worship you. We magnify you. We bless your holy name. We thank you for everybody, Father God, that was on this podcast listening. Yes, we thank you, Father God, that the word will not fall on bad ground, but it will bear fruit in due season. Until we meet again with our brothers and sisters out there in Facebook land, we ask that you continue to cover us and protect us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And don't forget, next week's episode, we're excited because we are already 8 episodes in. That's so dope.
I'm about to go eat, y'all.
He about to go eat. On our 12th episode, which that last day, I just want to throw this out there because we're going to be talking about it coming down the line. Episode 12 is December 19th. That's our season finale, and we're doing a giveaway. So we're not going to talk about what it is yet, but it's coming up. So we're going to be doing a dope giveaway.
You get a car. You get a car. You get a car. You get a car.
Wait.
But it's going to be Hot Wheels. He's sure y'all. It's going to be Hot Wheels.
We love y'all. We love y'all. Y'all are absolutely amazing.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your evening, your night.
Bye-bye. See you later.